All right. Hello, everybody. I don't know if we're all the way on or not, but maybe we will. If we're not, we'll get there. But it's 7:30 on my clock, and so we'll go ahead and get started. Thanks, everybody, for giving up your Wednesday night to join us and talk about all things Sinbin related as we move into another year. This will be what Joe? This will be our third full season covering.
Yep, third full season.
82 hockey teams, something like that. We're going into the season. I think we're obviously going to be bigger than ever. We have coverage in half of the minor league hockey markets in North America. So we're pretty excited about that. A lot to talk about tonight. So I'll get the introduction out of the way. I'm Matthew Harding. I am the managing editor of the Sinbin, and we'll get into all the other guys here in just a few moments. But we have the fun and frivolity first, and then I come at you with the boring stuff. So we're going to let the boss take over here for a little while, and he's going to talk to you about what we are doing and what we'll have on the site for you by the start of the hopefully by the start of the hockey season, which is about 5 weeks away. So Joe, take it away.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I got a little notification that Campos muted me. I was about to crack some skulls.
Dude, I'm hearing stuff in the background. Dude, you're throwing me off.
Sorry. No, just to kind of reiterate what Harding said. Thank you all for taking the time out of your Wednesday night to meet with us and go over a few things. We've got a big season ahead of us, and a lot of exciting things coming down the pipeline for you guys. Obviously, we brought on a lot of new staff, a lot of new writers, photographers this off season. So welcome all to you. Welcome Andrew to our editorial team, who will be overseeing the AHL duties for us. Andrew's been with us for a while now. He does a great job and is a great ambassador for our Sinbin brand. So we're excited that Andrew has filled that role for us as AHL editor. Couple of quick things I wanted to go over. It's been a big year for us at the Sinbin, and that's due in large part to all the work that you all do on a nightly basis. And I know we're in the off season now, and it's a little slow, but you guys are still, carrying the load and really providing great content for us even during these slow times. And Harding can double check my numbers here, but just from what we've talked about, we've recently surpassed 450,000 page views just for this year,
yep.
Which is incredible. We are approaching the 1 million mark. I don't know how close we are to that. I'm sure Matt will expound on that a little bit, but it's really, really pretty incredible. When we started out doing this, we never dreamed that it would get this big this fast, but it has, and it's awesome. And I know the editors are swamped, but it's a good problem to have, because that means we're doing a lot of cool stuff, and we've got even more stuff coming down the pipeline. Like I said, one of those things that I wanted to bring to your attention is that we have recently entered into agreement with LeagueStat. LeagueStat will provide up to the minute live scoring for the games and teams that we cover, much like you see on the ECHL's website and things like that. That is a huge deal for us. We want to be the number one provider of minor league hockey news, breaking news, information, analysis, everything across the board. And we feel as editors that this agreement with LeagueStat just gets us one step closer to that goal. So be on the lookout for that. Something else that you have all probably heard of at this point is that we are launching the first edition of the Sinbin.net mobile app. Mike Crook, who is our Rapid City Rush contributor, is developing that app with help from Matthew Harding and Campos and Matt Thomas and all the editors, and he's doing a phenomenal job. We've seen some screenshots. We're getting ready to push out the beta test, but we feel as though with the majority of our readers accessing the site through a mobile device, that this is just another way for us to get one step closer to our ultimate goal. So we're really excited about the mobile app, and the beta version will be launched soon if you've signed up for the beta test. Our hard launch will be, first week of October, Matt? Is that right?
Yes. The beta is actually, the launch will be the 2nd of October. The beta is out. Well, I was going to email everybody today, but the beta for Android users will go out tomorrow.
There you go.
It is out for beta for Android users now. We hope to have Apple after the Labor Day weekend. I know Mike is working diligently to get that done. So hopefully, for those who signed up to use the Apple version of what we do of the app, we'll have something for you there in a couple of days.
All right, so be on the lookout for that. So the Android beta will be out, and then Apple shortly following. If you signed up for the beta, we appreciate that. We need all the feedback that we can get from you guys and gals so that we can make this the best user experience possible. Obviously, there'll be updates, periodically when we find things that need to be fixed or updated, and we'll stay on top of that to make sure that it's as up to date as possible. So the mobile app coming your way shortly. So be on the lookout for that. And another bit of exciting news that we just got finalized today, Central Bank will be our main sponsor, Central Bank of the Midwest. We got that finalized today, so that's a big deal for us. Myself, Matthew Harding, Matt Thomas have been discussing on how to allocate those funds so that we can provide you all with all the resources that you need to do your jobs. So we will touch base with all of you once we have all of that finalized. We've got a few more irons in the fire in regards to some ad deals. So hopefully those will pan out as well. Am I forgetting anything big here, Matt? I feel like I'm forgetting something big.
App, Central Bank, League Stat.
Yep.
That's nope.
Yep. So that's pretty much going to wrap up my portion of that. Again, I just want to thank you all for all the hard work you've done. It's going to be a great season. Things are, it's finally getting to be September, and the countdowns all begin for opening nights and home openers, and start getting some content ideas rounded up. And I know Harding's going to talk more about this later, but we're always here to help. If you feel like you've hit a wall and you're not sure what to write about, or need some ideas, or want to brainstorm with us, feel free to reach out to anyone on the editorial staff. Even Zufelt, I know he just sits there and he's pretty the whole time, but reach out to him, any one of us, and we're more than happy to help you conjure up some ideas. But I really feel like we've done a great job of expanding what we do outside of game recaps into more feature pieces and analytical pieces and opinion pieces. And that's going to be a huge part. We need to keep doing that. It's going to be a huge part of continuing to grow the site. So feel free to reach out to any of us at any time if you need some help thinking of some things, or if you just want to kind of strategize your plan moving forward.
Yeah, and I will agree with that. Though I think the one thing that we want to stress to everybody this year is communication. We don't want to have writers fall off in the middle of the year or hit a wall or something like that. So the one thing that I think all of us editors really want this year is to have as much communication as possible. And to do that, it's a two-way street. And we understand that life is going to get busy with the holidays coming up and the hockey season going and things like that. We'll have a couple of workshops during the year where your editors will sectorize the site, where we're going from all of this. Now we will have broken down workshops throughout the year so that you can discuss things that are centric to your league. So hopefully that is a way of familiarizing yourself with the editors and those who work not necessarily in the division you cover, but throughout the league you cover as well. Because at the end of the day, we do want this to be extremely successful for everybody, and we don't really want to have, to borrow a bad political pun, anybody left behind. So that's what we want this year, is a whole lot of communication between you and your editors. Joe did a good job of mentioning the editors as they are now, as they're arrayed out in front of you. We're going to go ahead and get started here, and this is the really boring portion of it, and I'm really, really sorry. This is going to get terribly boring. But this is the nuts and bolts of what we do here. So we probably ought to do this. Okay, so I'm going to do this, and your screen's going to look a little wonky for just a second. But here we go. And I'm going to just double check and make sure that it's showing up over here on my YouTube. Matt Thomas, you might want to check and see what the issue is. I have the YouTube running on my machine. Apparently there's some issues with phones. So I don't know. So anyway, so this is the really boring part of what we do. And this is something that through the course of just attrition and through working in situations that Joe and myself and Matt Thomas have come to develop these standards and practices. I guess I should tell you that the way the night is going to break out is hopefully we'll be done by 10 Eastern, 9 Central, so that we can go to bed. But we'll have my part here, and then we'll have a little bit of time for question and answers from everybody. And then we'll have Joe Zafelt do the social media side of the house. And then Matt Thomas and I are going to show you a couple of different ways to do the basic things, because your editors probably are not going to spend a lot of time, or should not spend a lot of time doing the excerpts and things like that for your story. So, so with that in mind, we're going to go ahead and get started. This is the standards and practices that we have developed, and here is your editorial team. You just heard from Joe. Now you're going to hear from me. We'll hear from Matt Thomas a little bit later. Joe Zafelt is the model of the group. He's the social media guy. And to the editors as well, since I can't see you, if there's something that I'm missing or something you want to accent on, please unmute your mic and just go ahead and interrupt, because I'm not going to be able to see you. Joe Zafelt is the pretty face among us, the social media guy. Andrew is our newly minted AHL editor. He's going to do a great job. Mike is the SPHL editor, already does a great job. John Howe is our photography editor, a really solid dude. One of, I think, Independence's finest police officers there in northwest Missouri. So John is our photography editor, and Dakota is essentially everybody's right-hand man. He's my assistant editor, and to be honest, without Dakota helping us with information and things like that, a lot of what we do doesn't happen. Dakota is an insomniac, and I knew I had 3 articles to edit this morning, and he had them all done. And Dakota's done a whole lot more than that with us since he's been promoted to that job, and he's the unsung hero of our team. So Dakota, so everybody, make sure you extend some kudos to Dakota, and make sure you include him if you have any questions about what we do here, because he is very much a part of our editorial team. So now into the nuts and bolts, and we're going to look at 5 different ways that you put your article together for us. And with that, we're going to look at length and frequency of your articles, craft good headlines, as well as numbers, attribution, sourcing, and reporting on stories broke by other sites, and quotes. Probably the 3 biggest deals out of this will be crafting good headlines, attribution, sourcing, and reporting, and quotes. If there's anything that you take away from that, just take those 3 sections away, because they are at the absolute foundation of what we do, as well as capitalizations as well. So those 3 things. So first, frequency and length of your articles. As you know, the Sin Bin is all about enhancing and having a conversation with fans. We want to give them more than what they see in a newspaper and on TV. So the way that we do that is we're out in front of them. And when we're out in front of them, they're seeing what you're writing. They know your view, and the more you are out in front of them, the more they'll trust you and the more they'll respect your views on the team that they are fans of. At the end of the day, essentially, what your job as a writer is to do is to know everything about the team and also know nothing all at the same time. So it's a fine balance that you have to work with here. But the more you know and the more informed you can be, the better that translates to the reader. Some ideas for stories include player profiles, Q&A, team season previews, and etc. Everybody was supposed to have 2 content idea article or content ideas for tonight. If you do have them, put them in the chat room, and Dakota and Mike can take those down and send them to me, and I'll put them on a master list we've been working on all week. We ask for a minimum of 1 article a week during the season, 2 articles per month during the off season. Those are the expectations that we have, because you do get a package. We don't pay you, but you do get paid in the fact that you're allowed or you're able to see your team's games essentially for free. The site pays for that. Central Bank, whoever we have advertising with us, pays for that. So as a way of scratching our back, we ask for the minimum of 1 article a week. And besides, the Sin Bin could have 500 people, but only 50 people doing the work, and that's just not good. So that's why we ask for that. 2 articles a month during the off season is, I think, fair, because again, it keeps you in the market and it keeps you familiar with what's going on with the team, and it also keeps your writing chops up as well. The stronger, the more you ply your trade, the better you will be. Going above and beyond the minimum standard is always welcome. We always encourage that. We're never going to turn that away, no matter what. Articles should be a minimum of 250 words in length. Game wraps, as we've seen over the last several years, can be between 500 and 1,000 words, sometimes longer if a significant event happens. Articles longer than 1,000 words are okay, but the content has to justify the length of the article. So in other words, I don't want to get to the 750th word and fall asleep reading it because I've lost all attention. I'm going to go somewhere else. What you put out there for readers to read has to justify the length of your article. And then those longer features over 1,000 words are feature pieces and articles that provide in-depth analysis from different views. I would say this: Barry Jansen and Allen is a terrific example of how you can have great content and more than 1,000 words. If you go back and read Barry's work on our site through the years, Barry does a very, very solid job of it. So he would probably be the standard bearer of writing 1,000 words and pumping that out and making it good every day, because he spends 4, 5, and 6 hours writing those articles. All right, so that's part 1. Part 2, writing your headlines. This is the first big part, and this is the one thing that I really want everybody to key in on here early on in this seminar. Each headline that we have must have these things. It has to be correct in fact and implication. It has to connect to the audience, bring them to the article, and the article also and the headline also sets the tone of what you're writing about. It also has to be correct in grammar and in capitalization. The first letter of every word except for a filler word gets capitalized. So, Harding, what's a filler word? Glad you asked. Here we go. with, is, in, an, a, and the do not get capitalized. The caveat here is that the sin bin does get capitalized. The in the sin bin gets capitalized because it is part of the business name. So there you go. That's the one thing you find about grammar, the more you use it, is that there are a lot of gray areas here. So that is one of the gray areas with filler words, that if the word the is in your business name, that gets capitalized. Catchy headlines grab readers' attention and entices them to click on the article. Good articles are wasted if the headline is dull and boring. Remember what we're after here. We are after people to come and look at your work. You are putting in the work, and it should be on display for everybody to see. So if you write a 2,500 word article about a Q&A with a coach, then it should be really well done. And the article should, instead of just having a Q&A with Jeff Pyle of the Evansville Thunderbolts or whatever, tell me something else about Jeff Pyle. If something big happens in a game, like a hat trick or a brawl or something like that, put that as your headline, because people are going to click on that. And I don't want to make it sound like that we're after clicks, but we're also here to, it's a bit of a give and take here. We want the headline to be good, and we want people to read your work at the same time. So we have to do something that is going to entice them to click on the article. The one thing we don't want is to have to have a headline that is sensationalist in nature, and you'll know it when you see it. An example of a good headline is Stevenson comes up big in return to Allen. We don't know. Let me back up. Well, I can't back up. Actually, I can. There we go. The one thing we don't know about what he did is how he came up big. Did he have a big hit? Did he block a shot? Did he get in a fight? Did he score a hat trick? What happened? Did the Thunder win? What are the ramifications for the next time Wichita plays Allen? We don't know all of these things, so I'm going to click on that headline and give it a read. A bad headline, Thunder win in Allen. It tells me everything I need to know, and it's time to move on. I've wasted zero time on that article. Congratulations, Wichita won. Moving on. Don't need to waste any time on it. Your work is wasted in that headline. Headlines must also provide clarity on the topic that you are discussing. Here's a clear headline. It tells the reader exactly what is being talked about in this article. And you're like, oh, okay, well, this is an opinionated piece. I'm probably going to read it and see what the writer thought about it. Poor headline or a muddy headline. NHL bans players on two-way contracts from going to Winter Olympics. Now, you'd think that somebody else among us wrote those headlines, but it was me. So we can all improve in this area, and this is really one of the areas that I think we want to really expound upon coming up here this year. We really, really, really want to do better at writing headlines and not giving everybody everything they need in the first 10 words, just in the first 10 words that they see, because they're going to move on. Some other things. First, try and keep your headline short. As a rule, or as a guideline anyway, 5 to 7 words will tell everybody everything they need to know. Make sure that your words are capitalized as well. Excuse me. Don't be afraid to write the headline several times if you have to. A lot of good writers, it takes them several runs at headlines to get the right one out. And also, don't be afraid to take what stood out to you in the game and make it your headline. Rumpel's 45 save shutout. A better headline is Rumpel notches third shutout of year or something like that. And all of a sudden I can't come up with a good headline. Who is this guy? Some other tips. Make the headline easy to read. The key purpose of the headline is to communicate. We want to be as clear as we can be in those first 5 to 7 words so that the reader can make the split decision whether to whether to read the piece or move on. If it's muddy, they're going to scroll on it on their iPad. They're going to scroll on their computer. They're just going to keep moving. Do not mislead the reader in your headline. Don't tell them something that isn't true. For the love of God who died for your sins, please do not end your headlines with punctuation, with periods. You can, and question marks, no. But please don't end your headlines with a period. That is a gigantic pet peeve of mine. It nails on a chalkboard with that one. Avoid beginning a headline with a verb, and also avoid using the words feels, thinks, or believe in your headline. Also avoid slang unless it is pertinent to the headline. So, if the Thunders, or let's say the Mavericks slang or phrase for the year is to keep clogging along or whatever. I don't know how horses sound. It's been a long time since I've been around them. Rosicky could probably say Mavericks clog to their 10th win of the year or whatever. Now that's team slang. It's familiar to them. Probably not to anybody else, but it would work in that instance. Use present tense to indicate the past. And here are a couple of examples. Allen Americans win Kelly Cup championship. We've told you the word win there tells you what happened in the past tense. We don't need the word won. We have win there. So that is the action that told us what happened in the past. Another one, Thunder equals 16-17 win total in romp over Mavericks. It tells me, again, probably not the best headline, but for this point, it works because the word equals tells me that Wichita has matched their win total. Matched is the past tense of what happened in the past. Equals is the present tense there. And then finally, keep unnecessary words out of headlines. We don't need 20-word headlines that, just block the reader. Or just, if you have diarrhea of the mouth in your headline, it's probably not a good headline. So it may be time to rewrite it. Just make sure, again, try and keep it to 5 to 7 words. And those are the words that are capitalized in your headlines, and you should be fine. Again, your editors will know about this stuff, and they'll know what a good headline is, and they'll know what a good headline looks like. So don't be afraid to ask them as we get into the heat of battle here. Numbers. Associated Press style guidelines dictate any number and ordinal above 10 is a figure. So 10, 50, 75th, 122nd. Any number below 10 gets written out. Numbers and ordinals. So make sure that you stick to that, please. However, again, another gray area, for sports-specific stats, records and power plays and things of that nature, figures should be used. Here are a couple of examples. Wichita went 2 for 5 on the man advantage. Again, the figure, the word for, and then the other figure after that, make sure you have hyphens there because that connects everything together. So that is a stat. Oh, okay, Wichita went 2 for 5 on the power play. Toledo loses 4-2. That's a stat. If you start a sentence with a number, the number must always be written out. That is an example. Again, this is all fairly unexplained. hang on here. Okay. So again, this is all fairly well explained. This is all really makes pretty much good sense, I think. Should be doing it in normal writing anyway. No spaces between the number and the placeholder. So if you're writing like this, the 1 and then the space and then the ordinal, that's wrong. First, as it's all mushed together, is correct. Also, no spaces between scores, please. And then some other stuff with numbers here, and I'm not going to bug you with that. What we will do is we will put this presentation up online for you so that you can look at it. Manpower situations. The only one I will really hammer on is the manpower situations. 4 on 4, 3 on 3, 5 aside. The hyphen connects everything there. Age as well is another big one. Make sure that you're putting the dashes or the hyphens next between the number and the words there, not 22 dash years space old. That's wrong. A 21-year-old or whatever. Height, probably one of the easier things we do here. Most people don't have a problem with this. So plus minus is another thing as well that we want to do. And we want to write out the word plus and the word minus as well. And then so to go plus hyphen 5 or minus comma 12, like that. And then goals and assists. If you want to, you can put the numbers of the goals in the parentheses like this. 13 goals, 29 assists is 42 points. All right, so here's the second biggie of the evening, and this is the absolute bedrock of what we do here. The absolute bedrock. So attribution and sourcing is extremely important because everybody uses everybody else's stories. If you having worked in the media for a long time, 5 years, everybody uses everybody else's stories. So attribution is the way that you cite the source without them claiming you used plagiarism. Attributions are crucial because they give your story credibility, depth, and perspective. If you use it effectively, it is an incredibly strong journalistic and writing tool. The sources can be people, publications, other records, or documents that give timely information. Anything that gives your work validity. That includes media reps, coaches, GMs. Also includes the collective bargaining agreements in the ECHL and AHL. It includes the rule book in all 3 leagues, but it does not include Wikipedia. Wikipedia can be manipulated by somebody, and it is not a source. If you use Wikipedia for anything on any work that shows up on this website, you will be asked to take it out. That is absolutely not up for debate. Wikipedia is not a source. If somebody tells you information on the record, you can use it. It is their way of telling you it is good. If it is off the record, keep it quiet, because the information that they're telling you is extremely sensitive. This could include player signings not announced. Teams can give you that information, and you have to sit on it. That also includes jobs, contracts, anything else that is sensitive information. If they tell you it is off the record, do not use it. Do not use it for publication. Now, I say that. The off the record is do not use it for publication. However, if there is a time where the off-the-record information that you were told previously comes up again and you feel it's valid in a story, you can absolutely go back to the source and ask them, hey, on this off-the-record piece you told me, is that still off, or can I go on the record and let's use it? And then at that time, they can either tell you yes or no. So again, work with your editors if you get into one of those sticky situations. Quotes and information in an article without citation will be treated as plagiarism, and it will not be allowed. If we find plagiarism of any kind, it's over, because it is not going to happen. We will absolutely not have it. It's over. Introducing false information or improperly citing information strikes at the heart of our credibility as a media outlet. We have worked very, very hard to be the first on a lot of things. We've broken sales of teams. We've had team media reps absolutely livid at us because we've broke stories before they did. And when it was well cited and it was well sourced, they have no beef with it. But if they find out that you or anybody else from this site has introduced that information that is false, it is an absolute strike at the credibility of this website, and you will be gone. This is the go directly to jail kind of deal. It is that important. Here are some standards for using text attribution and sourcing. First, quotes must be accurate and precise with the proper attribution given. So if, let's say, Ryan Bizzarro interviews Yannick Tifu in Reading at his jersey raising, and he puts in Yannick gives him a really good quote. At the end of the quote, Ryan puts in comma, quote, Tifu said. And then he has cited that information to Yannick Tifu. This is another example. The Colorado Eagles will be the 31st AHL team in 2018-19. That's not what David Andrews said, but we're making it up for this instance. That is the way the quote is properly attributed. If we use an excerpt or a quote from a written document, like a report, release, or email, we will cite it in two different spots. One, where the information was directly used, and we will cite that via hyperlink. And then the other is in the source area. And if you are using information from a report or email, please give that information to your editor, and they will put it in there for you, because I do not know if the source area on the writer's end is available. So make sure you get that information to your editor. That is absolutely crucial. For lengthy stories where multiple sources are used, the attribution will be done at the time the info is reported and included in an editor's note at the end of the article detailing your interviews, research, and your methodology. We've not had to use that yet. Hopefully we won't, because that's cumbersome kind of stuff, but that is for lengthier stories where we have multiple sources. For attributing or for attributing photos and videos, this is the protocol. If a photo or video comes from one of us, we put the name of the writer or the name of the person who took the picture / the sin bin. If a photo or video comes from a team, you say photo, video, courtesy, team. So on and so forth here with the league. And then if it's somebody who is outside of the sin bin team or league, it's an outside source. First of all, you have to ask them, and that can be through email or social media. Then photo, video, courtesy of their name. If you ask a person for their photo or video of an event, please make sure you let your editor know. Again, we are all about communication here. We want everybody. We want the editors. I want our editors to know as much about what is going on as possible, so that if there is something that happens, we are the people who are going to be out in front of it the most are not caught with their pants down. And that's essentially what attribution is, for the long and short of it. Other media outlets sometimes will report stories that we find interesting or our readership will find interesting. You can run them if you have information to supplement what is reported, and as long as two conditions are met. One, the work is cited with a hyperlink in your work, and the second, again, put it in the source box. Have your editor do that, author and web address, so that they can put it there in the post settings area. The article about Colorado moving, or the move being finalized or whatever, is a really good example of this, because this was long reported by two different sources. We supplemented it with the quote from the commissioner, and that was good enough to go with it. Sometimes all you need is a quote or some extra stats or something like that. But that is where you, as the writer, if you feel like you have some information to supplement it, go to work and put in the work to make sure that that information is in addition to what they are also reporting. So, quotes. This is another big one. Quotes add clarity, accuracy, and a reality to a story. We use quotes to keep from misrepresenting what a person says. It also provides our readers a second view on an issue or game, and it allows us to kind of walk on the wild side a little bit and put a little lively conversation and language into a story. There are some areas where caution should be exercised, though. First, we don't want to put quotes in the story simply because we have them. As long as the quotes fit in the story, use them. But if you have quotes from people or from a coach on multiple different things, don't bring me a 3,000-word diatribe about what a coach said. You can break that up later and write information around it. The other one is, don't have one person filibuster your story with quotes. Generally, for game wraps, 3 or fewer quotes work. We do not start stories with quotes unless they're incredibly powerful. And we do not use partial or incomplete quotes unless the situation dictates. And it's been a long time since I've seen a situation dictate using partial or incomplete quotes. You can pair the quotes together if they are from the same speaker and if the quote shares the same thought. So if there's a break in there and he continues talking about it, then that's kind of a cue to you, if you're listening back to the tape or whatever, of a coach saying, well, blah, 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 pause, blah, 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 and it's all the same thought, then that's a cue to you to pair them together by going, comma, quote in, Cameron said, comma, blank, and then keep going. Different thought, different paragraph for the quote. Also, final one of this part here, different speaker also gets a new quote, new paragraph. Every quote gets an attribution. That is absolutely huge. An example, Joel Amerno making up this quote, I've cherished my time. It'll be the highlight of my life. And so there's that with quotes. Capitalizations. The final one here right now. We do not capitalize words randomly. These are some of the phrases. Exhibition games, qualifying offers, training camp, head coach, general manager, CBA related items, career descriptors. We also don't capitalize captain either, because we're not going to capitalize the head coach or the general manager, written out anyway. We're not going to capitalize captain. But if you do not want to write general manager out a ton of times, you can use the capital GM after its first full use. So this was the one slide I forgot to finish. Some more no-nos, really. Under any circumstances, we will not put we or you should not put we or us in your work. If you do, it shows that you have a complete and unfettered bias toward the team you're covering, and you're likely not to be trusted. Remember, as Joe said a little while ago, as Rosicki said a little while ago, we're now playing to a broad base. This is an incredibly broad base we're talking to. People from outside a Toledo or a Wheeling or Wichita or Chicago or Southern California are going to read your articles. So avoid the we or us mentality in your work. So it also shows objectivity as well, that you can call a strike a strike. If Toledo gets blown out 7-1 and they didn't look good, I expect Michael to say Toledo sucked and got blown out 7-1. As a reader, why did they lose? But I would expect Michael to not put it in a rosy frame of mind there, if that makes sense. The other one, no nicknames unless we're doing a feature on them. Again, playing to a broad audience, we're not going to know who a dude named Schmitty or a guy named Finner is. I know them, but not a whole lot of people do. So make sure that we're using their last names. You can use nicknames, though, in some ways, like, Matt Finn likes to be called Finner. His teammates call him Finner or whatever. That's cool in the article. If you do that, make sure you wrap quotes around it. Make sure that you wrap quotes around it so that everybody knows. Okay, so some sites to help with.
Matt, real quick.
Yeah.
With that.
Yeah.
The first time you use it, or every time that you use it? So you introduce Finner with the quotes, but then do you have to use it every other time?
I probably would, because Matt Finn is his given name. Finner is a nickname, so it should be in quotes. So, yeah, should be in quotes almost every time. So, some sites to help you with your pieces. This is the site. This is Grammarly. We all use it. It helps, especially with writing an active voice and passive voice, especially the paid version really, really helps with that. Make sure you at least download the free version. It's just a plug-in on Chrome and I think Firefox as well. Make sure you use it. HockeyDB is a really good resource, as well as Elite Prospects. And then we have, obviously, the league sites as well. With the addition of LeagueStat, I'm going to be the honk here, and I'm going to encourage you to use our site. Our website will have, at least for the ECHL folks, our website will have player bios and all of that information built in. So you will not have to go to the ECHL website. The only thing you will have to go to the ECHL website for is the text layout of everything that comes out every day. That's the only thing you should have to go to that website for. So there are the other websites that we've talked about. So with that in mind, I'm going to stop the screen share here for now. Are there any questions with what we've discussed so far from anybody in the chat room? Campos, Dakota, anybody? Do you have to credit HockeyDB and Elite Prospects? Yes. They still have to be credited, and you can do that in the hyperlink You can do that when you bold in your player. Just throw in the hyperlink there as well. But for
even if we're just citing stats,
well,
I mean, stats are public record.
Stats are public record. I would say no. But if you're talking about career stats and it's a player coming down from the ECHL to the SPHL, then absolutely. Because the SPHL is only going to have SPHL stats. It will not have ECHL stats. So you have to go to a third-party site. So you have to cite it there. Stats are facts, but again, it also helps to make sure you cite it as well. Dawn with her fights. You can say you got the information from the SPHL page. I don't know. HockeyDB does not carry fight stats. I think you'd have to go to Hockey Fights, and knowing the owner of that site, you damn well better cite his site, if that makes sense. There you go. Okay. Campos, Dakota, anything else in our chat room right now so we can get going?
No, we're looking at content ideas mostly. Has been some of the stuff coming through, but we'll cover that later.
Okay. Very good. All right. So now that we've gotten past the really, really muddy part, I promise we're almost to the glamour show with Zafel. Let's go back and we will talk about how now that you've submitted your article, let's go back in and do working with the teams. So here we go.
All right, here I got one for you there, buddy.
Yeah, go ahead.
If a coach or player swears in an interview, how do you edit that, or do you?
Well, it depends. I mean, is the word that he said relevant? Can you make the point with the word? That's a judgment call. I would, if it were, Malcolm Cameron used the word ass a couple of times last year. I used it, but if he said that his team played like a pile of dog shit, I probably would err on the side of not running that and just say in a graph that I wrote that Malcolm Cameron was extremely displeased with his team, if that makes sense.
There was one time I did a post game with Drew Omacholi after an Ice Gators game, and he said that the team was playing that like they had no balls. And I'll tell you what, I quoted him word for word on that.
I would be okay with that.
And boy, did that stir up some shit.
I would be okay with that. But so I would say curse words, anything worse than something like hell, damn, ass, I would say it has to go away because of the fact that, again, it's such a wide base and, you know, I don't think it's a good look for the team. But, I mean, I don't know. It really is a judgment call. If you feel like you can get around it, then don't use it. So that's one of those gray areas that we just have to come up with in a case-by-case basis. So now that you've submitted your article and everything like that, let's talk about what you're going to do in the arena, how you work with teams, when to publish, and press box decorum. So it's everything you wanted to know, but you were afraid to ask. So here we go. When to publish your stories or galleries. Excuse me. We've done really well, I think, this summer in having content on specific days anyway. Wednesdays are probably our best days here this summer of having content on the site once every hour. I think today we had a really good 5 or 6 hour run where there was something new on the site every day. As a goal, when we get into the heat of battle here in a few weeks, The goal is to have something new on the site every 2 hours so that the reader can come back and they continue to be engaged in what's going on, not only with their team, but with hockey in general. This could be anything from breaking news to a game wrap, a suspension notice, a podcast, a player feature, a photo gallery, whatever. So the bounds are endless. The only stories that have shelf lives are game wraps and suspension notices. The game wraps must be in by noon in your time zone the next day. So this year, we're going to have our editors go into a rotation where they are editing articles all weekend. I think we've talked about that, and I think it was mostly agreed on. But anyway, one of the plans we're kicking out is that the editors will get into a rotation, and we will edit articles all weekend in a way of giving the other editors a break from the site. The latest that the editors are only going to be there on days after games, so Saturday and Sunday afternoons, is noon in their time zone. So that could be 3 p.m. Eastern, or it could be noon Pacific. It doesn't matter. But they need to be in by then, because chances are they probably won't be run then, because the game is over, and that game is nobody's going to want to read about it. So make sure that you get in your game articles in a timely manner to your editors so that they can get it up on the site promptly. If you are unable to post a game wrap in a timely manner, let your editor know. We are completely flexible with people. Like, hey, something came up, I went to the bar and got drunk after the game and I'm hungover, can't write, whatever. Mom died, flat tire, I don't care what it is, but as long as you let us know what is going on and why you won't get it up there, we're cool with it, and we can make other plans if needed. Each editor gets an email every time there's an article that needs to be looked over. We do not need hey, my article needs to be looked at with your hands waving in the air. We don't need it. If your work has not been published within 24 hours after submission, make sure you let your editor know, because sometimes there may be the rare instance where an article gets overlooked. In some cases, we may move your piece back a day when we see when the content may be a little lighter. If we do that, we ask that you please be flexible with that so that your story, this is all done in mind so that you can have the maximum viewership of your articles. Here's a loose schedule of how the content has appeared on our site since we've launched. Now remember, when you break news, this breaking news doesn't have a schedule. Whether it happens at 1 a.m., 4 a.m., 7 a.m., or 10 a.m., weekday or weekend, it doesn't matter. News is news, and we want that out immediately. So here is everything else as it stands right now. Monday, we're going to look back at the weekend. We'll have our photo galleries. We'll have ECHL power rankings, and more on that later. We'll have the In the Corners podcast. That'll be recorded Monday night, also aired live on the Sinbin app. Recorded, and will come out Tuesday. We'll have league news, features, photos, and then the SPHL power rankings. We'll record the Inside the SPHL podcast, and that'll come out Wednesday. It'll also air live on the Sinbin app. League news, features, and then Joseph Felt is doing an open skate, which is look at the lighter side of hockey. It's a lighter side, a lighter article. So he'll be doing that. Thursday, league news, features, photos, and I'm still kicking around the idea of doing Into the Sinbin monthly through the off season, because I think it adds a little bit of an element to what we do. Friday may actually be our lightest day, depending on if you are wanting to look at what's ahead for your team on the weekend. Then you could also do that. Features, league news, and then Saturday and Sunday are pretty much game wraps. So we're going to have something, when we get going, we're going to have something on the website every day. Something new every day. It's our goal to have something new on the website every 2 hours. A relationship between you and the team you cover is an extremely important part of your job here. If you have not developed that relationship, make sure you get with us so that we can help you or facilitate it as quickly as possible. Because at the end of the day, we are a vehicle for them. They have their niche group of TV journalists and cameras and newspaper guys that they work with. We want to be in that niche, and also we want to have our own niche. So, you know, that relationship is very much a give and take. And so we expect for you to have a working relationship with the team's media directors. As the season gets going, player and staff obligations will increase. So with that in mind, if you plan on interviewing players, make sure you email or phone the media director. You give them some details of the interview, topics, and when it'll show up on the site. When it'll show up on the site is sort of a goal for you. Like, I hope to have this in on Thursday. It'll probably show up Thursday. Topic-wise, I give them maybe 1 or 2 topics. Don't give them everything, because you don't want them to come in so guarded that they're not going to give you good stuff. Be flexible with dates and times. Interviews are expected after games down in locker rooms. I know Indy has a protocol for that. They expect it. You have a 30-minute window after games to do your interviews there. Don't be afraid to go do those interviews. Make sure you work with the team, though, and make sure you follow their protocol. If you plan on doing interviews after practice, make sure that you get that you let the media director know in case you need some help in corralling players. Make sure also that you have every tool necessary to do the interview successfully, whether that's a Tascam recorder or your iPhone's charged, whatever. It looks extremely unprofessional when you don't, and you may not get another chance because of the strain on teams and players during the season. Don't send the interview back to the team or person you did it with so that they can clean it up. If there is a concern that they have in the interview, they should email Joe Rosicki and myself so that we can discuss it with them. Or you can give us a heads up, writers, and say, hey, so-and-so says he's a little uneasy about what he said during the interview. We may want to look at it and not run it or whatever. I'm not going to clean it up for them. We're actually going to probably run it instead, because things that are said on the record, if you goof on the record, it's out there. If you're meeting some resistance in getting an interview or something done for a piece or something like that, please let Rosicki or myself know so that we can go in there, or your editor, so that we can go in there and help you. Another thing that we've talked about, huge, and this is the last thing that I have here, is press box decorum. Every press box in the ECHL, SPHL, and American Hockey League is considered a working press box. People are doing their jobs in those areas, and you are a part of the working media. We work, and we will begin this process after, I think, I'm going away for next weekend, so it'll be after I get back from that. But each year, Joe and myself and the editors all work extremely hard to make sure that we have a spot in every press box where we have a body. This is done so that you can go and watch the game and report on it in an impartial manner. Oops. If you are in the press box, we want you to write an article. As a matter of fact, it's expected. We're not just gonna have you sit up there and watch games all year and not write anything, because that is a horrible, horrible look. The opportunity to work in the media area on our behalf is a privilege, not a right, and it should be treated that way. We expect for it to be treated that way absolutely every single time. Each league has rules for working press boxes. We will take them, and we took them and made them our own. So here are our press box rules. Absolutely no cheering in the press box. Clapping, other outbursts can't happen. It shows that there is a bias or an impartiality toward one side, and you're not going to be seen as a valuable source. Keep the conversations minimum to a play. If you are, the exception is that if you miss something, like in Missouri, whenever I go up there to work a game, I'll ask either Twinter or Rosicki what I missed, and they'll tell me. Keep a conversation to a minimum during the play. You can talk after the play is over. Chats during pre- and post-game as well as intermissions are fine, but they should be kept to a respectable volume, because remember, in most arenas, you not only have TV, but radio working within feet of you. So if you're like me and you have a big guttural laugh, try and keep that to a dull roar if you can. If you have to take a phone call, do it outside of the press box. Don't have anybody in there who isn't part of us. Look professional when you do it. When you do go into the press box, we're working to get polos for everybody and sin bin garb so that you have that. But in lieu of that, a polo or a long sleeve shirt, jeans that are not ratty-tatty, closed-toed shoes are acceptable. Do not wear a jersey. It's the Fred Liggett rule. Do not wear a jersey into the press box. It's the Fred Liggett rule. Do not do it. Fred, bless his heart, is a writer in Missouri, and I saw him write, and I saw him wear a jersey in the press box one year, and absolutely not. What about a sweater? Wernes, you're going to have to be more specific than a sweater. Sweaters are fine because it gets like 25 degrees there in Massachusetts. Also, no alcohol, cigarettes, or vaping in the press box area. And make sure you clean up after yourself. This includes game packs or any other distributed materials, meals, and refreshments. Don't be a slob. Leave it as you found it. And the one thing, if you're found breaking the rules, we may have to move on, because that's not cool at all. So that ends the hard-ass portion of the evening. For now, is there any questions at all about what we've talked about here in the last little while? Any questions at all from our chat room? Can we get sin bin credentials? What do you mean? You mean like a photo with the sin bin on it, Donnie?
Yeah, I think what and I've heard this from a couple of people, is getting like a little badge, picture, sin bin logo on it that kind of identifies us as who we are.
Well,
which if you have a press pass, you have a press pass.
It depends. In markets like Wichita, I have a media credential with my photo on it already, so people and the outlet, so people know who I am by that. They don't need to see something from the sin bin that says I'm Don from the sin bin. We'll see. That's a Rosicki question, though, I think. So
now, if you want to get business cards for yourself,
that is
then you have. I think you have our blessing.
Yes, you do.
Generally you can get a pretty decent deal on Vistaprint there, and they can, you can get your a small box of cards at a pretty decent discount.
Yeah, I got like 500 for $10. That's not bad. Any other questions as we've gone along here? Crack in the press box area. Yeah, Twinner, that's a hard no. I'm gonna go hard.
Unless you're Dakota.
Let's see what else we have here. I don't know. I don't know. So, Mike, you have anything else from?
Yeah. Michael J. Scott there. Since he's with Winged Octopus and the Sin Bin, can he wear identifying articles from both blogs? Yeah.
I mean, I guess.
Yeah, I would say that if you're on our press pass, it would probably be better if you wore our gear.
Yes.
If you're going to be on a press pass from Winged Octopus for a game, then yeah, you wear their gear. It's basically, whoever is buttering your bread, eat that slice.
Right. If you have an AHL logo jacket, you can wear it in there. Again, excuse me. The one thing with jerseys is that
you look like a fanboy.
Yeah. You have no credibility. I'm sorry. You just don't. So don't wear jerseys. You can wear an AHL jacket to an ECHL game. That's fine. But don't.
Yeah, that's more what I would consider business casual.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, make sure that you don't go the Fireball Freddy route and wear a jersey in the press box, please. Okay. So, huh?
No, I was coughing. Sorry.
Okay. I think the Bachelor Zufelt may be ready to go here. And I'll be in the chat room while Joe's talking, so that I can answer some questions as well, and then we'll try and tidy this thing up as close as we can to 10:30 Eastern. I know it's getting close to 10 o'clock Eastern. So, Zufelt, bud, if you're ready to go.
I'm quick, so.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you mind putting the hasn't started yet.
Oh, okay.
But everyone's still yelling at me.
Oh, okay.
So,
way to go, Commish.
The wonders of being a commissioner.
Okay. So we're gonna screen share this, and it's gonna look funky again for a few seconds. But bear with us.
Yeah, if you don't mind putting the PowerPoint back up.
Yep, I'm going to. If you bear with us here, we will go ahead and get her going for you. And now with the social media side of our house, here's the pretty boy, Joe Zufelt.
Oh, I am pretty.
Aren't you? You're gorgeous. Okay.
I'm so pretty.
All right, there you go,
bud. So most of this is pretty self-explanatory and pretty simple. Also, my internet's been messing up all day, so if I start cutting out, just like yell at me or something.
Okay.
Okay, good. I want to make sure that got through.
You're good.
Okay, cool.
Oh, I will yell.
Yes, Andrew, please yell. Been kind of quiet this entire time.
All right. I've got to hit. I've got to hit the button.
Yeah, you got to hit the button.
There we go.
All right, so I'm going to focus mainly on Twitter, mainly just because everyone has their own Sinbin Twitter account. If you're talking about the team, you should be using that account. If you're talking about really anything else, use your personal account for that. That's why you have two. Okay.
Sorry if I'm going kind of fast. Just let me know.
No, please.
Okay.
It should just go quickly.
Okay.
Yep, Twitter, use it. So it doesn't need to be 24/7, but make sure it's active. Make sure it's not just for the games. If something big happens, a trade, a movement, someone gets called up or called down, use that Twitter account to sort of, tell people about it, talk about it, stuff like that. If you are covering a game, cover it on Twitter. It doesn't need to be play-by-play. It really shouldn't be play-by-play. But big things, big updates, goals, period end, period start, big hits. Really just imagine if you were talking about it to a friend, like you're watching a game and you're talking about it to someone else. Imagine that and use the Twitter for that. Engaging is the best thing that you can do on Twitter. That's how you gain followers. That's how you gain respect, I guess you could say. On Twitter, people will trust you more if you're actually talking and engaging with people, and they will engage with you if you do that. Next one. Yep. Okay, so one of those things, polls in general, but specifically post-game polls are pretty good, and they can just be like the simplest things ever, like, was this game good? Yes or no? And 9 times out of 10, someone who will answer in that poll will tell you why they answered yes or why they answered no, and that starts a conversation, and that's what we're kind of going for. If you know that the game wasn't good, like you lost like 7-2, try something else. What was the big thing? What was the big fallout of this? What went wrong? Defense, goaltending, something like that. That will also just basically make it engaging, make it open-ended so people can talk about it, give their opinions too. Get to know your fellow writers. There are a lot of us, and there are a lot of us in all 3 leagues. And most likely you will have other writers in the same division as you. If you do, get to know them, especially through Twitter. Start a rivalry with them. Start like a kind of like a bet, that you can kind of keep going back and forth. Something fun like that where you can continue that throughout the year. That's going to be something fun that's going to get people engaged in that also. Okay, so mention this a little bit. You said that we were aiming to get an article out like every 2 hours, I think you said?
Yeah.
Yeah, so with Twitter, that's going to be fine. Through Simbin News Twitter account, we're going to be putting out every article that we can. That's just going to continually go out with articles as they get posted. But with Facebook, we're only going to be putting probably 2 to 3 out per day because of their algorithm. If you put too many posts out there, they see you as spam and they completely nerf your organic exposure to people. So it'll get sent out to less people, which means less people will see it. But that's not going to stop you from sharing your article. Like, you wrote it, get it out there, let people know. Most people have a personal Facebook. Put it on your personal Facebook. Let your friends know. You have your Sinbin Twitter account. Also put it on your Sinbin account. And if you have a personal account, why not do some shameless promotion of yourself? Get it out there too. But if you're doing that, always tag the Sinbin page too, so it can also direct people back to that page as well as to your article. For the golden rule, just be smart about what you post. It's so simple, but like even just taking 3 seconds before you hit tweet and being like, is this really smart? And if you're second guessing, most likely you shouldn't do it.
If you, the rule of thumb, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, go ahead.
The rule of thumb that we've always operated with is if I'm not going to include my mom in that tweet, we're probably not going to put it out. Now, is there going to be like a Stephen A. Smith hot take that we might put out there that toes the line a little bit? Quite possibly. If that is the case and it's a worthy hot take or whatever, fine. But going back to what you said about sharing articles, Adam Twitter had a really good point in the chat about working with your teams to make sure that the information that you're writing about them goes out. We tag teams in our Facebook posts. And this is where the relationships that you build help because if you do that, if you are building those relationships with the teams and they see that a sin bin related or that a post from the sin bin is out there about their team, they're more likely to share it because of the relationship that you've helped build. It's if you walk up to
like that's huge. I can't tell you how many times because I have all 3 leagues set up in lists. I watch what they post. I watch what they share like throughout the year. And I can't tell you how many times that I've seen, all of the teams, we tag them, they'll like and retweet us. And that is huge. So always tag the team that you're talking about. If you're talking about a specific player, like if you're doing like a Q&A with the coach or a player and they have a Twitter, tag them in that too. It's such a small thing, but it goes such a long way.
Yep, absolutely. All right. Sorry to interrupt.
Nope, no problem. Trolls. So this is basically like the only negative part of Twitter and social media, but it is a huge part. They're everywhere and they're the worst. First and foremost, trolls are not just anyone that disagrees with you. You're going to get people that disagree with, opinions and stuff. Trolls are just people that are specifically going out of their way just to goad you into a fight, no matter what you say or anything like that. And really, there's 2 ways to deal with them. You either just ignore them or you just block them. There's a block for a reason. If they're getting really harassing and really just annoying, just block them. They're not worth the hassle. And if you try and, start a fight with them, they will, do it in a way where it makes you look bad. You don't ever want to look like the bad guy, but, that's just how they work. I think the next one is, do not engage a troll. It's just reiterating, don't do it. And plus, rule of thumb too, you can delete a tweet, but they will screenshot whatever you get, and that'll hang around forever.
Whoops. Sorry.
No, it's fine. That's the last thing I had about trolls. Just ignore them. They're not worth it, and we want to be above them. Mm-hmm. So I mean, that's really it. It's super simple. But any questions in the chat or anything like that?
No, they're all talking about who they're trolling. So, no. I think the thing here when it comes to Twitter and Facebook as well, don't be afraid to, the editors are all, all of us editors are admin on the Facebook page, and I'll tell you, don't be afraid to delete a comment. If it's something that you think somebody else is going to find offensive or you find offensive, don't be afraid to delete it. Can we engage other media accounts covering the team outside of Sinbin? Absolutely. One of my closest friends here is Will Kunkel from Channel 12, and the guy used to work at ESPN. You have no idea. If you're not engaging them, you're not getting into their pool of resources and therefore expanding your own. So it's very much building a network. The more you network and the more you're engaging people, the more the sin bin will grow through all of that. So does everybody think the sin bin useless poll is a good idea?
Oh, God, yes.
I love it. Quite frankly, where was this a year ago, as a matter of fact?
Way to go, Brandon.
I love them. It gets, especially like the whole hot dog, is it a sandwich, not a sandwich deal, which Granda got ripped off. And I know he's still salty about it, but that really got everybody engaged at a time of the year when hockey really shouldn't have even been on the radar. It was what, June?
Mm-hmm.
I think the hockey season was just over. So, sandwich versus not a sandwich,
I still get into fights over that.
I still do too. It's still not a sandwich. So, there we go.
Still not.
Still not. All right. So,
yeah, witty banter is great. It always is, especially sometimes the witty banter that we get just between us. It's always a lot of fun. I guess rule of thumb is don't let it run too long. Otherwise, people start unfollowing you because you're flooding their Twitter feed, and they should get over it. But people get all bleh.
If it's not pertinent to you, you can now go in there and mute conversations. I've done that with quite a few people, quite a few conversations I've been in, because I don't want to have to look over at my phone while I'm working and see 15 notifications about tweets and things like that. So I will turn them off.
Yeah, and there's always the dumpster fire direct message group. So,
yeah.
Lord,
don't be afraid.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to go in there and get your feet wet. All right, so no more questions on that on the social media. And no, Phil Kessel is not a sandwich. Not a sandwich. Phil Kessel, not a sandwich. All right. Matt Thomas.
He's unfortunately a Stanley Cup champion, though.
Yeah.
He is. What is he now? 2 for 2 in Stanley Cup championships after leaving Toronto. There you go.
In the words of Tommy Daniels, he's a two-time.
I love Phil Kessel, but I hate the Penguins. It's that bittersweet.
It is. It's kind of the same bittersweet you get with Phil Kessel. Anyway. Yeah. All right. So before Thomas face plants himself in the keyboard, there are a couple of things that we need to show you here in the main site. So I don't think I'm logged in here yet. So Thomas, do you have anything that you want to add here, bud, before we get going to the how-tos?
No, not really.
Okay. Okay. So the one thing we wanted to show you is we wanted to do excerpts. What else did we want to do? God, it's been such a long day.
Hitting your posts, categories.
Okay. So with that in mind, we're gonna do this. So what I'll do is I'm going to log in here real quick, and then we'll get into the screen share mode again. And Matt, if you just want me, I can walk him through it. If you want to just chime in something, then you go ahead and feel free to.
I'll do that.
Okay. All right. So, okay, it'll take a minute to load. So we're going to just do a basic article. So when you come into the site, we're going to screen share this again for everybody. If you haven't been into the site in a little while, here's what it looks like. So So you will see this. It's a little bit different for the editors because they actually have everything here. So you'll enter in your title. We're just going to say the sin bin is the stuff, and we'll tag it that way. When we do date lines, because it is date lines are always in bold, so we'll put in the name or the city where you're at, and then the postal service abbreviation. So we'll put Wichita, Kansas, and then we'll get out of bold.
Yeah, make sure you unclick the bold.
Yeah, and then we'll just type, and there's your story. Okay. So now that we've done that, it's time to put in, and this is all stuff that the writers, everybody should be doing with your articles. So we're done writing and now it's time to come over here and put our article up on the website. So we have categories for all of this stuff. You have American Hockey League. We have photographers in the American League now. We have AHL photos. We have categories for everywhere where we thought we may have had writers or we have writers. So make sure that you check American League and Lehigh Valley. It's going to go league, then team. So there's that. ECHL, same deal. And featured. You can make your story a featured article if you want to. We do not have internally a set of standards that we look at when we are deciding whether we want to make a story a featured story or not. If it's been a month since we've had an Indy Fuel story up on our featured area, then we'll probably make an Indy Fuel story a featured article. Gear Guru is Mark Granda's alley. Mark, you'll want to check that stuff in Gear Guru as well when you're done.
There's actually not even a spot anywhere on the front page for the Gear Guru anyways, so it doesn't really matter.
Okay. Okay.
That one basically you want to do as a featured one every time.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense.
He's just editing what he already has anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
Okay. That's right. Good point there. Okay. So we don't want to do that. Then there are all of the podcasts that we have. Then the SPHL as well for you guys. Yours is going to be down toward the bottom, but make sure again, team, league, followed by team. And then anything you're going to see on Friday, something go out about the site. When something goes out about the site, we're going to have the sin bin check marked. The sin bin is the default, and we check that off every time when we go in there to do your story because the sin bin. It is the default, it is the site, everything like that. So when that, make sure that does not stay highlighted when you go to submit your story. Real quick while I'm here, tags is a big deal. So it's going to go, when we do tags, it will go the sin bin as a tag, followed by league, and we'll do ECHL this time. And we'll do team after that, then Wichita Thunder. Then if you have Malcolm Cameron, if I have Malcolm Cameron in my article.
I would say any coach or player.
And coach and then player. And then players do not need to be alphabetized because the system does it for us already.
Correct.
So there's your tags. Just tap that add button, and we'll take out player. and put in player name. Featured images, let me see if I overwhelm anybody. Okay. Featured images are a little bit different because what we've done during the summer, what Mike and Matt did over the summer, is they went in and refreshed everything. So the old images that we have in the system can still be used, but we want you to use these new generic images that we came up with in lieu of the old ones. So those are in the media library here, and
they're all set up in folders on the left-hand side now.
okay. So why don't you walk us through that part, because this is the part I missed.
So you would just scroll down and you would look for, I think it's generic featured images. You have to do it. Yeah. Okay, and then you would just click on, for the AHL, you'd click 2017-18. You can see it has 35 images in there. That is all of the brand new images. And then the 2015-16 images will eventually be all of the old images that we had. Right now, there's nothing in that folder. That's why you don't see a number next to it.
Okay. And then the playoffs will be the playoff matchups here. So for the American League, these are the old images, but these are, like the Crunch Griffins Calder Cup matchup. We make, for our playoff coverage, we make up the playoff images as we go. So that's a handy way of doing it. If you have any questions, make sure you talk with your editor about that. But those are handy.
If you have a game shot that you want to use and you want to upload it, Matt, can you go back to upload files?
Oh, sorry. Back to upload files here.
You'll see down below where it says select files, it says upload to folder. Choose your team that you cover as your folder. That way, all of the images that you upload, you can always find at any time in that folder.
Yep.
And then you would choose select files and select your file just like you always do.
Okay.
This whole folder setup is a new plugin that I purchased over the summer to try and help organize the media library.
Yep. And a couple of questions here from Twitter. Mark asked, Granda, we will want you to continue using the page that we've built for you for Gear Guru. 1 kabillion tags per article. That's normal, I guess, because especially now, Josh, since we've been in the middle of player signing season, that's fine. Don asks, Michael asks, do we have to use the given photo as the feature photo? If you take a photo at a game that you're covering, and you think it's really and you want to use it, It's fine. You can use your own photos. If you have a high quality action, if you have a high quality shot, use the shot. So that's
if you're good at Photoshop, you can make your own featured image in Photoshop.
Yes.
These images that we have are just generic images in case you guys don't have anything to put on there.
Right. And if you do a photo, if you do have a really cool shot, or anytime you upload a photo that you've taken to the website, make sure you credit yourself, because this works when we go to or when national sites come to us about our stuff. They want, in some instances, they want the article and the photo. So we want to be able to give you as much credit as we can for the work you've done. So again, just go to the upload folder, upload to Wichita, or upload to the team you cover, select files, then the drop down is there, and away you go. And the preferred featured image size is 1164 by 504. So that way we don't mesh the resolution. It doesn't look clogged up. So there we go.
On top of that, the image isn't ginormous, and you don't have to scroll down halfway through the page before you get to the article.
Right, right. Okay, so there is featured image. So now we've taken, I'm going to backtrack here in just a minute, but when we get the videos put back in from the highlights, when we get the highlight videos back in here in a couple weeks, we're going to want to use excerpts. So the way to do that is to just highlight everything here. And generally what you want to do on excerpts is highlight the first sentence.
Yeah, I usually use the first line, maybe the second line with it.
Yeah, first or second line of your story. Whatever if there's a natural sentence or something, take the sentence and Control-C for copy, and you'll scroll on down here. Everybody has this. This is the excerpt box. It's generally below your name in the author, and then we're just going to put it right here. This excerpt box here is what everybody sees when we go to put the story online. Everybody sees this information in the box.
If you don't use the excerpt box, all anybody sees is the HTML code for the video that's embedded into your post.
Yes.
So it's just a garbled mess of nonsense.
Right. And there have been a couple times last season where we slipped, but we need to get better at that, because that code also goes out in Facebook as well. So make sure that you are putting in just the first sentence or two of your story in this excerpt box. If you need help, again, your editors, Dakota is really good at this stuff. Anybody's here to help you with that stuff. So there is that. Then you don't have to worry about Facebook and Twitter. That's something that the editors do when they go to post the article. Generally, what we want to do this year is avoid posting directly to Facebook.
I can actually just shut that off to make that easier.
Oh, okay, awesome. You're the man. So then every story will now post. We'll post to Sinbin News. Every article will post to Sinbin News, and then you can disseminate it from there. Do the editors have the publish immediately option? Yes. The editors are the only people who can publish their stuff on site and quick. The reason we do that is because we need to fact check this stuff and make sure everything's up to what we have standards, to our standards. So
to go along with that, once your article has been published, you can no longer edit it.
Right.
So make sure that you look it over several times before you, what are they called? Before it's pending for your editor to look at it. Because once it's published, you can't go back and do anything to it. If you find an error, contact your editor to fix the error for you.
Right. And be specific on where it's at. Don't just say, hey, I've got an error in there. I need you to find it. Because if you tell me that, I'm not, unless it's because of the volume of articles we're going to have to look at, it's impossible to go back in there and go, oh, okay, I see where Jeff goofed up here now. He didn't need to tell me. No, you've got to be specific on that. So please make sure that you are specific on where the error is in your article when you post it, or if you have it in there and meant to take it out after posting. So anything else on here, Thomas, that we need to discuss with them?
Not that I can think of.
Okay. So that ends the screen share portion of our evening. And Thomas, you can mute your mic again. All right. So, any final questions here before we wrap it up this evening? There have been a lot of good questions here tonight, and I really appreciate, again, everybody giving up the last 2 hours here to spend the evening with us and talk about what we're looking for from the site this year. So we'll just open it up now for any final questions here for the next little while. Any of the editors can feel free and jump in here. If I miss something, go ahead and jump in here, boys. Please. Is there going to be a summary of what we talked about before I got here? There is a YouTube of this right now. It's the YouTube you're watching. So when I stop it, it will go back and you can watch it again, Josh. Yeah, Mike, we can talk about that. So yeah, you will be able to go back and watch this on the YouTube channel that we have that we gave the link out for. When will credentials go in for the year, and does it include preseason? Preseason credentials, they don't do a lot of teams don't do. So we won't be doing them. And the season credentials, that process will start here as soon as I get back from a weekend off the grid, which will be the week of September 11th. So and the way it'll be different this year, because for the American League, Andrew, if he's not floating with everybody in South Texas, will be calling for the AHL folks. Rosicki and I will be calling for the ECHL credentials, and Mike is going to handle the SPHL folks. So your editors now will have a larger hand in the credential process this year, as opposed to just myself and Rosicki and Campos last year. And Campos said that he will start working on the credentials for the SPHL writers at the end of September. So everybody, I think last year, 95% of our writers had credentials. We're expecting about the same this year. There are a few bumps in the road where the SINBIN is not widely accepted in media relations offices. So we'll be working with them on that. But make sure, but for you writers who are worried that you're not going to be credentialed this year, we're going to start that credential process here in about 10 days. So Mike, you were wanting to talk about content ideas this year?
Yeah, we might as well, since we're running pretty good on schedule. So
yep,
Hold on 1 second, Campos.
All right, I'm holding, bro.
Michael Scott asked about the excerpt boxes. Not everyone can see that. In order to see it, you have to go up to the upper right corner of your screen. Right below where you would log out, you'll see it says screen options.
Hang on here. I'm going to share this here real quick. So,
good idea. I would do that, but I don't know how.
Yeah.
Oh, come on.
I don't know how to use Hangouts, man.
Come on.
This is all you.
Oh, I know. I'm fighting a mouse right now. Come on, Apple.
Maybe it's not MT's headset.
Who would it be?
Still breaking?
Yeah, no, it's still a little breaky.
What the hell?
Or unless maybe there's some kind of like some kind of grounding in your headset or something.
Okay. So this was what. Let me do this. So this was what Thomas was talking about here.
Right, it's that screen options with the little arrow there. That's normally closed, so you don't see that. So you
Right.
would just click that and open it, and then make sure you check mark the box that says excerpt. That will give you the excerpt box on the screen.
Yep. Yep. And make sure, because what this does is it toggles on and off the boxes you see down below. So the less of those boxes, the less of these boxes you have checked, the less you're going to see. But the excerpt box is an absolute crucial thing because we need it in there for the videos this year. So, all right. Question from John Hafer. What about road games? How do we get credentialed for those? The send-in, if you let your editor know far enough in advance, John, we will get that worked out for you.
Yeah, as much time as possible. I mean, a week or two should be more than sufficient.
2 weeks. You let us know you want to go to a game in 2 weeks. We can probably get that done for you. But I mean, maybe sometimes it's a spur of the moment deal. We understand that. If you're familiar enough with the team's media director of the site that you're going to, maybe it's in Cincinnati or somewhere like that. I know in Cincinnati, Everett does game night credentials. He doesn't do season long, I don't believe. He may for Dakota. But Everett is really good about getting you a credential for a night. So
sorry to interrupt, but
yeah,
can also say that Everett is a very, very cool guy. So he's super approachable. Most people are, so don't be afraid to just sort of contact them and be like, "Hey, I'm in here for the night," kind of thing.
Right. Yeah. And I'm here and I want to try to work the game. Don't be afraid to ask.
Yeah, and if you're gonna email, just CC your editor.
Yes. Ryan asks, with school and work being crazy, I'm not sure if I get to stay for the whole game sometimes. Is it okay if I leave the press box early? Absolutely. If you've got to get out of there and you want to get your game recap done, leave. And you have to get up early, by all means. Don't worry about it. Can you DM on Twitter about media credential? Yep. Andrew, I'll get you that information. The other thing that we wanted to show you here really quick is our resource website. I thought I was done, but I'm not. And this is really, really handy for everybody.
This is still a work in progress.
It is. So here is the team media representatives. This is the media resources website that we have, and Matt Thomas and I and Mike have worked really hard on this. Unfortunately, we planned on spending a lot of time on it this summer and getting it ready and nice and polished for everybody. But unfortunately, we decided to do 15 other things at the same time, and this kind of got lost in the shuffle. So these are the people for ECHL folks who you need to talk to. And this is a huge, huge resource for everybody. So we highly encourage you to bookmark this website very quickly so that you can be in touch with these people. Amanda, I believe Amanda is not the media director in Kansas City. It's name escapes me, but we'll need to get that changed. She's their social media director. She's not the media director, though. And Walt has left Norfolk as well. But I'll get that information to you, Matt. But anyway, here are the media directors for the ECHL. And then we also have our good friends in the league office as well. We have them there. SPHL Media Reps, Mike has done a really good job on that. Here's their information as well. So make sure that you are using this resource site as much as possible. The one thing I kind of think we have hammered here a lot this year, a lot this evening, is the fact that we want you to start using more of our stuff, the stuff that we are providing you. And this resource page, though it's not finished, is still a very, very good resource to have. Talks about we have a link to Grammarly here in the useful links area. We also have Elite Prospects, HockeyDB, and Hockey Reference. We have other office software. You can do for image editing there, so you can. I'm
going to add WordPress link to their app in there as well.
Okay, yeah. So that you can download the WordPress app and write a game wrap or something like that from your phone. Just be sure though to save it as draft and not send it on through.
Yeah. Also, for you SPHL guys, we do have links to historical stats going all the way back to the beginning of the league. Go ahead and click on that, Maddie, and it'll show. We can go into Point Streak, and we can pull up team-by-team stats all the way to the first game in league history for every team that's ever existed. So it's a great way to double-check your stats and verify information.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's a huge resource. I love Point Streak. I love it a lot more than using League Stat because of the fact that it's an actual honest-to-God database, and League Stat really isn't. So
yeah.
So the SPHL has a leg up on everybody else there. We do have record books for the ECHL. I think this is the same stuff that you see on the ECHL site. So if you need it, it's there. Make sure you bookmark it, and that way it's ready to go. When we finally get a month or something like that to figure out to not have 55 things to do at once, Matt Thomas and I will get back in here, and we'll get our feet wet on finishing this for everybody. So that is the resources.thesinbin.net/index.html. But resources.thesinbin.net will get you where you need to go. So other than that, and that was the last thing I think Matt Thomas and I wanted to share. I think other than that, that is the presentation here tonight. So what I'm going to do is not only do we have this on YouTube, it'll be on YouTube here as soon as I hit stop on the broadcast. It will we'll also put the slides up in our Team Sinbin Facebook page as well, so everybody has them, and you'll be able to chat us up there as well. Let's see. I can't think of anybody else of anything else. Last call here, guys. Anything else?
Okay. Actually, one the question that came in is, and this one's for Jay-Z, if it's possible to have a Sinbin Snapchat account.
Why
in the world?
Be possible, but
why in the world would you want to do Snapchat?
It's so.
I'm so old.
It is possible. It is possible, and it could be really cool. The only way that we would be able to do that is essentially we could do like games of the weekend kind of thing, or games of the night, and give someone the login information. They could Snapchat the game. The only thing with that is that we'd have to have everyone on board that wants to participate with it. If only 3 people are going to do it, it's not worth it. If everyone wants to do it and everyone's on board, then yeah, we can find a way to make it work. I would just need to think of a way to do it and make a schedule and stuff like that. But I mean, if you guys are on board for that, I'll put it together. No problem.
Yeah. What about like the big events, like the ECHL All-Star Game or the AHL outdoor game or something like that? What about we could do some extra coverage for that, like for those events?
Definitely.
Oh yeah, I mean, if we had a Snapchat already, that would be a no-brainer to do those big events. Whoever would be there could do it. It's just, that's one game out of the entire season. So doing it specifically for the ECHL All-Star Game, not exactly worth it. But if we were doing it consistently the entire year, yeah, I mean, it'd be worth it, and it could be something really cool. But again, we just need, more than a few people on board.
Yeah, it's a matter of just being able to build an audience with that account.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's all about building a persona, and I don't know if maybe this is something that all of us can ferret out in our next meeting.
Yeah, and I know we just got a question about Instagram. I don't even use my Sinbin SPHL Instagram account.
We have an Instagram account.
We
I'm gonna try and get more into the Instagram account this year.
Yeah, I think that would be.
That's huge. All the kids are on Instagram, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
I thought all the kids were on Snapchat.
I don't know. That keeps changing like every week. But so I definitely want to keep going on Instagram a little bit more.
It's a great way if for nothing else, it's a great way for photographers to have their work
Exactly.
Yeah.
put on display.
Yeah, or even
Exactly.
or even fan submitted photos as well.
Bingo.
Yeah.
I can see that
fan
going
submitted
there.
content is gets a lot of traction.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Maddie.
that's something I want to work on.
Yeah. So Maddie, you want to talk about some content ideas?
Yeah, let's go really quick because I told him we'd be done by 9 and it's 9:34. But let's go ahead and make it
A
happen.
liar.
Okay, come
Yeah.
on. We always run long, Maddie.
It's true.
Just like a podcast.
I told Arnie it was going to be 2 hours at least.
Man, I tried my damnedest to not make it 2 hours. Go
All
ahead.
right. Well, let's just go through a few just of the content ideas that we got just in the chat here.
Okay.
So, and we'll talk about some other ones another time. Let's see. Anna wants a cooking show. You know what, Anna? If you can cook, you know what? I'd love like tailgate cuisine or something like that.
I'm in.
Yeah, I'm all about tailgate. I'll get my buddy Ben. I'll get my buddy Ben in on that.
I've been cooking since I was 7, so I'm in.
Let's see. Another thing too. Let's see. A Coach's Corner article / podcast. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
And what? Super fan of the week.
Who did the super fan?
That's coming from Anna.
Oh, okay. Super fan. I don't know about because then we're profiling fans.
Yeah. Of the week would be, you're doing 26, 27
Yeah, that's a
people
lot.
a year. That could be a lot of work. I don't want to overwork you there.
Yeah, but like I said originally, no idea is a bad idea. So I appreciate all of the ideas that we've gotten so far. Continue.
All right. Also, it's y'all's 30th anniversary season. So let's see. We got one suggestion here, taking a look back of former ECHL teams, top not only teams, prominent alumni, top 30 players in ECHL history. I think a lot of that's all good ideas, especially being the 30th anniversary season for the ECHL. That is something that we should be promoting ourselves on our end.
Yes.
Y'all can. I'm gonna let y'all hammer that out. One of the content ideas that I had for me was to do all alphabet team for the SPHL that I can run, 1 week each week during the season, and whatever. Let's see what else. Michael Scott, have a roundtable between teams in each division like a podcast. Just to let you know, I mean, sometimes doing a podcast with multiple users, using something like Zencaster or whatnot, it's doable, but you could also do that in written form as well.
Yes, and you can do the one thing. One thing I will encourage about podcasts is don't do them if you do not plan to follow through with them and be consistent about it, because that's really the danger with those things. If you do like 4 podcasts a year, then over the course of the year, that's fine. But if you're wanting to do something like monthly or weekly or something like that, make sure you have the stamina to go through with it, because it's not only going to be when you open your mouth and say that this podcast is a weekly podcast,
you got to do it weekly.
You got to do it weekly, whether you feel like doing it or not.
It is religious.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, if you wanted to have a roundtable between teams in your division, then that's one of those things where you can get with your fellow writers, maybe have a divisional DM in Twitter, and y'all can hash that out. And if you can get it together, then yeah, I think a monthly roundtable would be great for y'all.
Yeah, but the problem is the podcast is a great idea. Make sure you have somebody who's willing to do the editing, because I love doing them, but I edit.
Dude, you're tapped out, bro.
I edit 4 hours of podcasts every week, and I don't have enough time to do it. So make sure you do it.
And beyond that as well, the AHL outdoor game, the ECHL All-Star game, AHL All-Star game, those kind of special events is stuff that we can also plan on doing enhanced content for as well.
Yes, we will have as soon as we get going in the season and we finalize those plans, which I think we are in the process of discussing now, who we will have in Indianapolis for the ECHL All-Star game, because we're gonna have to apply for that and make travel arrangements here fairly quick.
Sorry.
No. When we get all of that finalized, then we will make the content known to everyone. We'll start brainstorming content.
Yeah, Donnie, as far as would they rather listen or read? Gosh.
I would just roll with it. Whatever you think is best.
What are you more comfortable with?
Right. If you are more comfortable transcribing the audio word to a written word, go for it. If you think people would rather listen to a choppy interview, go for it. But make sure, the one thing I'm going to say again is that make sure if you do the audio or you do video, make sure you have the capability to edit it yourself, because I'm not going to edit it.
And I'm just going to jump in real quick and say that editing is huge, because my brother does a Game of Thrones podcast. And the last episode, they literally talked about what was more important, or what was worse, jumping over each other's words or dead air. And they did both in the next 5 minutes. And it was one of the worst things I've ever heard.
Yeah.
You're going to do a podcast, make sure you edit it.
Yeah. One other suggestion, and we may be getting into a gray area here, but also looking into Twitter account takeovers, where a player or coach with the team's blessing could take over your Sinbin Twitter account for an hour or so. I know they do that with their own official account, and chances are that's probably the way they would go. But hey, if you have a good media guy, they may very well throw you a bone.
Right. It's something we haven't been approached with yet, but it's not something we're not totally no on. So let's just see how it happens, and we'll come up with it as as it comes.
I mean, if you can talk to the media guy and they're cool with it, and you can make it happen, I don't see that as a bad thing at all. Like, if you can make it happen, go for it, because that's something that, like, I mean, the team itself will probably promote,
Right.
and then we'd all promote too. So it'd be something cool. So yeah, if you can do it, do it.
Yep.
Sounds awesome.
Yep. Absolutely.
How do we feel about like gifts? Like,
Oh.
Expand on that, because there are a lot of gifts out there.
I mean, like, if we're doing like highlight gifts or something, that's
Oh,
Awesome.
okay.
GIF.
Yes.
Oh, okay. I thought we were
Yes.
talking about bribery here.
I thought, yeah, that's
GIF. Yeah.
I personally love GIFs.
I use the living daylights out of them.
Yeah.
If you can
been my
get
most engaging-
highlights, if you can get highlights of the game, that is huge. I can't tell you how many times I'd be watching a Flyers game and I'm on Twitter watching the highlights through GIFs.
It's like
You know,
like they'll
as it happens,
people look for
people love it.
for those instant highlights right there.
Oh yeah, no,
Because
let
if
me-
you're
let
not
me
able
tell-
to watch the game, you got it right there.
Yeah, I'll tell you, Andrew. That's how I got on SportsCenter.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
So, yes, it's I do gifts constantly on game nights. I'm always putting those together and firing them on the on Twitter.
there is
And there's and depending on the league, because I know the ECHL doesn't like it, but the SPHL has no issues with it.
Well, there is somebody who gifts ECHL games, and I thought Dia was supposed to do that as well for us, and maybe she will. I don't know. But there is a person out there who does it. It's just a matter of reaching out to them.
And for anyone who wants to make their own GIFs and stuff like that, there are free things out there. And I know that if you have a Mac, I believe Giphy has a new tool.
Yeah. It's pretty.
I'm not familiar with it because I don't have Mac, but I've heard it's good.
Yeah, it's pretty easy. If anybody has a Mac and needs to learn how to do it, just message me on Twitter. I'd be happy to tell you how to do it. It's pretty easy. I figured it out, so it's not that hard.
Yeah, GIFs are. Yeah, I mean, I use it by just capturing video and then making a GIF out of it.
Yep.
And then
Well,
I can put it on Twitter generally within about 2 minutes of it actually happening.
I know last year we ran into some issues with Andrew when he tried to upload his into his articles. I did raise the file size limit, so if you do run into a problem, just let me know, and I'll see if I can correct it. And if nothing, I can always raise the limit up larger for you to be able to upload it, and then I can take it back to the same size that it was.
And
Yeah, actually, what I do on mine, if I'm putting a GIF into an article, I usually just link it to my Twitter post.
yeah, same here. That's probably the easiest way to do it. It works right into the article. Just fit it that way.
We're not burning our server utilization putting videos or GIFs or whatnot on there. Instead, we could link it to either a Twitter post or Facebook post or a YouTube video,
Yeah,
and just embed it in there.
Yeah. If you're doing anything on Twitter for GIFs, just try to make like a good caption, and just you can post it through the article on Twitter, just that way.
Oh, come on, Rich, you're not that old.
Yeah. So, okay. Any final questions? Because we've gone over 2 hours now. So it's bedtime for a couple of old men on this panel. Any final questions from anybody in the chat room or anything like that? I love the idea of the content. I wish we could just devote one meeting to content only, but unfortunately, this was the way it had to be this year. So, any questions? I think we're done, Jeff. If you want to go to bed because you're an old man, go to bed.
And get off my lawn.
Yeah, Jeff. So yeah, I think we're done. Any final questions here? Any thoughts from the editors here before we go?
I'm just waiting to get this season started. I'm hyped.
I got nothing.
Okay. Yeah, I am too. Thank you all so very much for all of your hard work. A lot of long hours have gone into this, and we are probably going to eclipse 1 million page views this year, which is something I never thought possible.
Shoot, just wait till we do SBHL All-Stars again, man.
I know.
I dislike you.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the month that Matt Thomas will be hating me.
Hey, hopefully, with the new server upgrade, we will not have any issues. But who knows?
Yeah. So
I wasn't expecting any issues in the last week, and all of a sudden we had all kinds of problems. Thanks to Google and the freaking Google bot crawling the site like there's no tomorrow. And,
evil as heck.
Yeah, they had to reboot our server twice, and I had to ban Google's freaking IP address to stop it.
Yeah.
Why am I not surprised?
It's a good problem to have, and it's bad. So, we're, like I said, we're on our dedicated server now. Matt Thomas has done yeoman's work with that and learned a lot along the way. It's not easy being him, and I know we all put a lot, and we all ask a lot of him. So, make sure that you give Matt Thomas a big thank you and everything like that for keeping us rolling here. We were only down a day and a half when the server crapped out on us and we had to move, and all of that is because of Matt Thomas. When he did it, when he was sick, he didn't have to do it. He could have just laid in bed and let the site be dull all weekend long, and he didn't. And so
And it didn't crap out. We were, our account was suspended, and we were basically told, we have to upgrade or too bad.
Yep.
So I hopped on it right away and made it happen. So
Yep.
I'm still learning as I go, because this is totally new for me. I've never dealt with a dedicated server. I've only dealt with shared servers before. So this is all new to me, and I'm learning as on the fly as I do this.
Yep. All right. So, yeah. I'm ready. I'm ready to go.
I don't want to see our editors DM when I'm dealing with these problems.
Yeah.
It's definitely not for children.
No, it is not.
Oh, Lord. Oh, Lord.
Again, thank you all so very much for giving up 2.5 hours of your time. Stay tuned for updates on the app. If you're an Android user and you want the app to test it out in a beta, the Android users who signed up will get the initial invite, and then anybody else thereafter, just make sure you DM either Mike Crook, Matt Thomas, or any of the editors, or me, or just let us know that way. And the iPhone crowd, the app will be coming soon. We are launching on October 2nd. Big things are coming. We will have a whole month full of announcements starting on Friday. Thank you all very much, editors. Thank you all very much for giving up your time this evening. Thanks, everybody. And we will talk to you on down the line. See you guys later.
Later, guys. Thanks so much for coming.